She is going to focus around the significance of Om, and we will have that once Sudhirji's session is done. So those who have joined on time, I really appreciate. Thanks for taking out time. And it's again great to see you all here on this evening. It's pretty nice. Before we begin, if we can start with chanting Om as we do always. I request everyone to chant Om once, wherever you are. We start with exhalation, then inhale, and then we'll chant Om once. So all together, let's exhale, inhale, and then start. Om. Before we begin today's session, just a quick rules and a few important things for everyone's benefit. This session is being recorded. For those our friends who couldn't join, just in the benefit of them, this is being recorded and will be circulated based on request. We have speakers who are going to talk on various topics. So unless and until you are asking any questions, I would strongly urge you to mute your mic. You are always welcome to switch on your videos. This is an opportunity for all of us to interact with each other. It's almost now 7th, 8th session that we are having together, and it's a nice platform for all of us to virtually meet each other. If there are any questions throughout the session, please feel free to ask those questions. The whole idea behind this particular session is to keep it interactive. It's very much, if you have any points to add on to then what speaker has mentioned, feel free to add on them. You can raise the hand just in case you want to ask any question yourself. And during the sessions, we would also take a pause and virtually meet each other for a minute. That would be an opportunity to take photo click as well. So really appreciate that. Coming to the first session that we have today, it is more about the human body, understanding the whole aspects of the body. Usually, if you ask anybody, I mean, what do you mean by human body? It's a different concept altogether. I mean, we might say just it's the body that we see, but it is much more beyond that. And really to get insight into what really a human body comprises of, that's where we have our very own Sudhirji. Those who have not met or not aware of Sudhirji, just a quick introduction. He is one of the member of BYS since its inception here many years ago. He is one of the senior mentor for all of us who joined recently last few years ago. One of the very active personality. And in fact, I must say starting these interactive sessions, which we are having on a fortnightly basis, it's again a brainchild of Sudhirji and few of the colleagues, friends that we have. So before taking any more time, may I request Sudhirji to get started on this first session today around the human body, understanding from surface to core, please.
Thank you, Sushil. So should I share the screen? How is it like? Yeah, I think it's a sharing option. I'm not, yeah, getting, yes. So namaste, everyone. It's good to be here for the session. And today I was doing the session and I happened to see one nice quote. So I thought of starting our session with that quote, which proved to be very apt for this particular session. It said that if you do yoga once a day, you may change your mind. If you do yoga, I think I missed it. If you do a yoga once a week, you change your mind. If you do yoga twice a week, you may change your body. But if you do yoga daily, you change yourself, you change your life, you change yourself. That's a very nice apt. I don't know whether about the first two, but the last one I can we have seen it happening with a lot of people. Can watch for that. So doing yoga daily changes your life. When we say your life, when you say your lifestyle, everything, what do you mean by you here? That's a very big question. We always think you means it is our individual or the person whom we get to see on a daily basis. But is that the real you? Is that the real I? Is that the real person? So let's go and see all these things. When we talk about human body, when we talk about you, in yoga science, we put that human body into one, we define it basis Panchakosha and Sharira Traya. The human body is defined in yogic practice basis Panchakosha and Sharira Traya. So the name itself is very clear. Pancha means, we know it's 5. Kosha means a veil, a cover, a sort of a cover which is there. So Pancha Kosha, which made of a package, is made of a cover of 5 covers, 5 seals. It's there. And Sharira Traya, Sharir means we know it's body, and Traya means 3 types of body. So a human body is comprised of 3 bodies and 5 coverings. So let us go and see what are the 3 bodies and what are those 5 coverings all about. Panchakosha and Sharira Traya. In Panchakosha, we have, as the name suggests, 5. The first one, Annamaya. Anna means, we know it's food. Annamaya is food, which is energizing our body, our physical body, what we get to see. That is what is getting energized. That's called Annamaya. The second, Pranamaya. Prana. So we know what is prana. What is prana? What do you define prana as? Prana, can we define it as an oxygen? Prana is the vital force which drives our body, which keeps us alive. Oxygen is nothing but a vehicle which is carrying the prana in. Oxygen is just a tool which is taking the prana in and energizing the entire body. So that is pranamaya. That is the outer sheet. What we see is number 2, pranamaya. Third one, manomaya. Mano means, as the name suggests, mind, a casing of the mind. Manomaya, which is mental sheath, what we have. Another one is Vijnanamaya, wisdom. That is the outer covering of number 4th, Vijnanamaya. And final is Anandamaya. Ananda means, Vijnan means, of course, wisdom, it's knowledge, Vijnanamaya. And Anandamaya means bliss, total relax, total peace, total happiness, you can say. So the human body is, these 3 bodies are comprised within these 5 koshas, pancha koshas: Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, and Anandamaya. So that we have done pancha kosha, let's see what is Traya, Sharira Traya. I think that slide is missing, looks like that. So there are 3 Sharira Traya, I'll just explain. One is called Stula Sharir, which is called the gross body. Gross body, the Stula Sharir. That is what we get to see. That is what has the name. We call a person with that name. The gender, everything comes from that Stula Sharir. That is what it has got: actions, It has got, it has food, that's Annamaya, part of Annamaya, food and water, Stula Sharir. The second one is subtle body. It's called subtle body, Sukshma Sharir. Sukshma Sharir. Subtle body, in English we call it subtle body, and Sukshma Sharir. Subtle, as we know, it is, which is really not clearly evident for us, but it is there, it is present, it is prevalent there. That is Sukshma Sharir. We call it as subtle body. So what are the functions in this gross body, in the subtle body? And the third one is Karan Sharir. Third one is Karan Sharir. We call it as causal body. The name itself suggests Karan. Karan means the reason, the cause, how it is formed, the formation of a body, the Karan for it. That's a Karan Sharir. In English, we call it causal body, the cause of that body which is being formed, the seed which forms this entire body. So these are three: Sharir Traya, Stula Sharir, Sukshma Sharir, and Karan Sharir. So let's go into details of what are the Sharir and what are the Panchakoshas, how it is things there. So Stula Sharir. Stula Sharir is nothing but a vehicle which we are all, that you is using to travel this earth, to visit this earth, that you which is moving around. It is made up of the Panchabhutas, the 5 elements: space, air, fire, water, and earth. So it's made up of these Panchabhutas. It starts with, it has got 6, it goes through 6 phases. Its growth is through 6 phases. Once, when it is born in the mother's womb, that's a genesis. Then it is born, second stage. Then it starts growing. Then after a certain age, it stabilizes, it matures, it stabilizes. Like there's no further growth. Maybe we can say the age of 20 to 40, you find that already the age is reached, the growth is reached, and then thereafter there is stability. But after 40, gradually things starts going down. It starts going down, the decay slowly starts setting in. The signs starts become evident. Grays hairs, eyes start losing sight. So these are all clear evidence of you're already on the downward trend. And then finally is the death. So these are the 6 formation, that is genesis in the mother's womb, the birth, then actual being born, then the growth, then the maturity, and then the decay, and finally the death. So in the death, what happens is, after the death, the entire body, entire Stula Sharir is vacated by that you. No more, the Stula Sharir is no more useful for the you. The you had come in to fulfill all its karmas, to take care of all the karma balance. We call that whatever the results of your previous birth and good thing or bad thing, what you have done, to enjoy that, to pay for it, or to enjoy that you have come here. That's called, we call it as karma balan in this thing. So it is to fulfill those roles you have come in. That is the role of a Stula Sharir. So it is not really the you. We always mistake it's the you, but it's just got an identity and a gender, but you is entirely different. So for the Stula Sharir to really work, to survive longer, to get energized, to thrive better, what is required is the Annamaya Kosha, the strengthening of the Annamaya Kosha. That's the cover what you have. So by which that what you do is the food and the drink. The food and drinks what you have, your food what you take, that is the one which helps this Annamaya Kosha and protection of the Stula Sharir. So we'll go further in Annamaya Kosha, what happens. So these are the 4, if you analyze the gross body, this is how it looks like. It is made up of 5 elements. The components are what human body, what you get to see, the hands, legs, and the body. It's a temporary residence for the you. and used to transact this world, visit this world. When we say Osho, Rajneesh visited the earth and left, as this in same way, we are also on a visit to this earth. It is subject to change. As we saw the 6 stages, what is going through, life is limited and it's visible to everyone. So that is the Stula Sharir. Now, how do you strengthen and purify your Stula Sharir? That's very important. We are all doing yoga, so we should know this thing. We have to do our proper exercise, like we do a daily yogasana and pranayama and all those things we have to do, which has to be regular practice. All those yoga and asanas, which strengthens your muscles, strengthens the stamina, strengthens the whole system and keeps it energized and alive. Pranayama, because the oxygen, as you said, oxygen has to go in. As we said, the pran is nothing but it is being carried by the oxygen. So the oxygen has to go in, the system has to work. Only if the system is working well, the oxygen will go in well. And if the oxygen goes well, the prana is also going in and then creating that energy into your body. Proper diet, that's very important. Asana alone is not the only thing, but proper diet is very important. So we said it as sattvic food, or some say different type, whatever type of food, what we eat, but of course within the limitations and within the limit, and the type of food what you have also has a lot of role to play in your health. We know it. I don't have to dwell on it. Everybody knows about food habits and diets. So, but this is also one of the component. And proper life schedule, life routine you should have. There should be a proper life routine, eating at right time, getting up at right time, we should have a fixed schedule, and then we work as per that. So then the whole biological clock works properly, and then the system also works. So in this way, you will improve and energize your Stula Sharir. So let's go on to the other Sharir, Sukshma Sharir. So you have a physical body, that's the Stula Sharir. Then you have the Sukshma Sharir. Sukshma, the name itself suggests very subtle, it's kept behind, underneath. It's kept underneath and it is not to be seen. So what are the 4 factors of similar to that gross body, what you see in subtle body? Here again, the material is nothing but same 5 elements, but it is subtle in nature. It is in the formation nature. It is not really visible, but it is there. It is subtle in nature. It uses 19 components. It uses 19 components to function. We don't get to see any of these components, but except we get to feel, we get to hear. Whatever hearing, what we do, we got ears. That is part of the physical body. That's part of the gross body. But the hearing, what really happens, the seeing what is happening, the smelling what is happening, the tasting what is happening, the touching what is those feelings, all those things happening is all part of the Sukshma Sharir. It is not part of the, because when the Stula Sharir is no more, that Stula Sharir is, moment Stula Sharir is finished, Sukshma Sharir vacates the body. When you vacate, there is no more these sense organs, because the sense organs are all taken away by the Sukshma Sharir, goes along with the Sukshma Sharir. So 5 organs of knowledge, we call it 5 organs of knowledge. This is all sense organs. Then 5 organs of action, that is your mouth, your hands, your legs, the anus, and the genitals. These are all 5 organs of action. Then 5 pranas. The pranas, what we saw, the pranayama, when we said about prana, that is also classified into 5 pranas. That we will come to that later. Or 5 pranas, the prana, apana, various categories are there, samana, various categories are there. So 5 pranas are there. The mind, intellect, memory, and ego, the other 4. When we saw that Annamaya Kosha, we saw that the next one, what we saw is the Pranamaya Kosha. So Pranamaya Kosha, where the breath is, prana is holding a big place here. So we can see this 5 pranas, which is clearly forming a sheath in this part, in this Sukshma Sharir. And the mind and intellect, that is all nothing but a Manonmaya, the 3rd sheath. Manomaya. So mind, intellect, memory, and ego. All these things happens in Sukshma Sharir. So when you think, when you are thinking, analyzing something, all those things comes with it's happening in the Sukshma Sharir, not in the gross body. Gross body is just a traveling equipment and the tool for you to do your karma palas, action. But here, Sukshma Sharir is the one where real action is happening. And Sukshma Sharir is something where all your past karma palas, everything is stored here. All the reservoir is here. All your good actions, good thoughts, everything comes into this one, gets stored here, and you activate it, you do it physically using the Sukshma Sharir. So we can say it as Sukshma Sharir, the Sthula Sharir is nothing but your computer. The Sukshma Sharir is your software. So even if your computer gets spoiled, your desktop gets spoiled, your laptop gets spoiled, you can still use this Sukshma Sharir, the software what is there, get yourself into another Sukshma Sharir, get into another Sthula Sharir, and then continue your life. It's more this Sukshma Sharir is for a longer period, unlike a Sthula Sharir. So subject to change, it continues into future lives. The moment the Sukshma Sharir leaves Sthula Sharir, it starts getting into another, looks for another Sthula Sharir. So to fulfill its karmas and various other life it has to live. It is not seen by anybody, but it is felt only by you. You will feel it, but still you will not be able to see it. So that is the subtle body or the Sukshma Sharir. So these are the definitions, like sense organs, all your emotions, all your feelings, your hatred, your anger, your happiness, all those emotions what you go through, everything is happening in your Sukshma Sharir. A Sthula Sharir, once Sukshma Sharir vacates, Sthula Sharir does not emote all these feelings and emotions because Sukshma Sharir is vacated. And your nadis and chakras, everything what we know about chakras, 7 chakras we had discussed a few days ago, and the nadis, what is there, the channel for all the pranas to move in, everything is there in this Sukshma Sharir. So your pranayama happens well when that nadis are clear, the chakras active, your entire organs are functioning well. That in turn keeps your Sthula Sharir active. So it all happens in this Sukshma Sharir. And karma pala, everything is stored in this particular place, and you start discharging your activities through your Sthula Sharir. It leaves Sthula Sharir when the time comes for Sthula Sharir. So what are the koshas here in this one? It has got Pranamaya kosha. We have seen 5 organs of 5 pranas we have seen. Manomaya, we have seen mind, intellect, memory, and ego. And Vijnanamaya. So you should be having that memory and the intellect. Intellect is also Vijnanamaya, where you have that analyzing capability, whether it's right, whether it's wrong, whether it's what you're doing is right. So all the analytical capability, everything comes from knowledge, Vijnan, what you have, with that comes. So all these 3 koshas are located in Sukshma Sharir. So when you discuss about prana, so these are the things what we have, 5 pranas, which we're not going into it, but these are the 5 pranas names there. So Vijnanamaya kosha, it is intellect and discrimination, be able to make out those intellect and this thing. It purifies when you are getting into more and more knowledge, your clarity of thought comes in there. The clarity of thought comes in there, clarity of vision comes in there. So with knowledge, this clarity comes in, your intellect starts and your ego starts going down. So how do you achieve it? How do you achieve this Vijnanamaya kosha? How do you strengthen it? It is by studying books, studying things which are giving all those knowledges. Like this is all, every human being just knows what is happening in his Sthula Sharir, but what happens in Sukshma, what happens in Kaushal body, nobody knows. But it is known only by the people who have experienced it, and those visionaries who have immortal people, who have written books, who have said all these things. When you start reading all these things, what happens? That's our time your intellect expands. Then with that, you start touching your Anandamaya Kosha. So when you're touching Anandamaya Kosha, it becomes, you're close to a stage of Samadhi. That's the time you start realizing what is life, what is you. The third body, causal body, it's made of nothing. It is like when you say, when we can equate that computer, the Sukshma Sharir to the software and the Karan Sharir to the power supply. When you're giving the power supply, that's the source. That is the Karan for this thing to function. Similarly, like when you take a water vapor, you condense that water vapor, it becomes water, and that water forms into ice. So ice is nothing but the Stula Sharir, the water is nothing but the Sukshma Sharir, and the Karan Sharir is the vapor, what is happening. So it's similarly like that. This is the seed which is making all those things to form. Like a seed through which the tree grows, you start getting fruits and everything. Same way, this is the cause of the entire body. It is subtle and gross body in seed form to serve as a storehouse for the subtle, and that's a function. It is the starting point for the entire body. And it is not evident to anyone, not to yourself, nobody. You cannot feel it also. At least in Sukshma Shari, you get to experience, you get to feel, but here you don't get to do anything at all. So this is the Anandamaya Kosha, the last Kosha, Panch Kosha. Anandamaya Kosha is surrounding the causal body, the blissful nature. So as you begin and then we get into that Samadhi stage, you start realizing how ignorant you are. Like when you say the bliss, when we say ignorance is bliss, we say ignorance is bliss. So that's the right term. So you're on bliss, you're ignorant what is happening, and then you slowly start realizing that you go beyond that kosha and merge with Supreme. So that is the Karan Sharir, or the causal body. So wrap it up. 5 koshas and the 3 bodies, Panch Kosha and the Sharira Traya. So we have the physical body with the Annamaya Kosha. We have a Sukshma Sharir with Pranayama Kosha, Manomaya Kosha, and Vijnanamaya Kosha. And then finally we have the Anandamaya Kosha and the causal body. Around this, we have the aura. We have this aura around us. So when you talk about great people having aura, so when we do this pranayam and all this practice, what you're doing is you're strengthening your entire body. You're strengthening your aura. When you strengthen your aura, you start achieving better things. Like when you start giving out boomerangs, when you say that what you give back, good words, good deeds, good thoughts, good actions, everything goes back and then comes back and starts strengthening your aura, which will protect you from further diseases, further death to your body, to you, whichever it is. So that is the thing which I had to, this thing, it's a very abstract one, and I've tried to explain it. Hope people have understood. So thank you. Any doubts, please?
Perfect. Thank you so much, Sudhirji. I think you rightly mentioned, like, the doing yoga daily, it changes the life. I mean, we have experienced it, and I think that's the right thing. Are there any questions? I think Amitji, you had one question, so please feel free to.
Yeah, Sudhir, thank you for to explaining in a very convincing way all the 5 seats of a human body. Yeah, I have just only one thing to ask you, that this all 5 seats, you told, like body, intellect, skill, and the pranaya, how they are interrelated, how they are influencing each other. Is there any the relation with their development, and how they are connected to each other? Anything is there for that?
So that's what, when we say the Karan Sharir is the cause of the thing, and from there we're getting the Sukshma Sharir, and then finally the physical body. So physical body's role is just to fulfill your actions of your past birth, and then to create a good bank balance. That is the need of the physical body. And Sukshma Sharir is storing all those activities there. So unless until your physical body is fit enough to do all those actions, what is required. So for that, you have to do your normal yogasana, pranayama, you do it. So that becomes, you energize your body. at the same time, in the Sukshma Sharir, which is there. So in Sukshma Sharir, you're doing your mental with meditation, Manomaya that improve with meditation, Pranamaya that is do with your pranayam, you strengthen them. So when you strengthen that aura, when you're landing up with the strength in the aura, you're creating, changing your lifestyle itself. When we say in yoga, yam, niyam, so we are creating that you're what is the seventh, the Hatha Yoga, when you say yam, niyam, and the meditation you're doing and yoga you're doing. So when all these things are being done, naturally you're sending out vibes, good words, good action, good thoughts. You naturally transform yourself and you start sending out such signals, and that in turn boomerangs and comes back to you to strengthen your aura, strengthen that person. So in that margin, your whatever karma balas, what you're doing, that gets reduced, and then your bank balance is getting increased in such a manner. Finally, you pierce through that Annamaya Kosha, and then not Annamaya Kosha, that Anandamaya Kosha, and then get into Supreme. So that is the whole target.
Yeah, it's okay.
Thanks, Sudhirji, for answering that question. Any other question before we move on to the other areas? No other question. If there are any questions, feel free to put it in the chat, and if time permits, we'll again take it back towards the end of the session. Sudhirji, again, very, very nicely explained. As I started in the beginning, many a times we just talk about the human body, which is a physical or gross body, sthur sharir you spoke about, or we are not really too much focused around the subtle body or the causal body and so on. I think it's a very, very nicely explained. Thank you so much for that. And just taking a cue from here, especially when we talk about the sthul sharir, about the physical body, what really we intend to do in the next session is, as an individual, I think it's really important to understand how our body works, this sthul sharir, which is a gross body. We know how heart, kidney, and so on, intestine, and all those kind of things. But really, we are not into the details of how the entire things functions. And most importantly, how the functioning of each of these particular part are taken care while you practice the principles given by the yoga, by doing asanas, pranayams, and so on. I think we'll definitely cover it after the fortnight in 2 weeks' time. So thanks for that. Before we go to the next session, can I request everyone to just switch on your video for a minute? It's an opportunity for us to see each other. We are not able to meet physically on the ground, which is what we are aiming for, but at least here, while we are virtually meeting. So if I may request everyone to just switch on your video for a minute. Great to see you, Lina ji. Long time.
Look at art.
Hello.
Give you a minute.
Kartika ma'am, thanks, Prabhakar. Hey, Shashank, would love to see you on Street 4, please. Thank you for joining. Thanks, Monika ji. If I may request Kartika ma'am, if you can just switch on your video. Thanks, Soumya. I know Balraj is driving. It's very great to see all of you here today. Thanks for joining.
Hang on.
All good, Rashad?
Yeah, but we have so many members who are not putting on their video.
Kalpa ma'am, we have not seen you since long time.
Yeah, Kavita.
Kumkum ji, ma'am.
Hi,
Kumkum ma'am.
Rachel. Hi, Rachel.
Gopal.
Hindu here.
Can we see your beautiful face? Hi. I miss you. Let me just take another picture for first window. Say cheese.
Cheese.
Let me take. Give me a minute more. So good to see you all.
Thank you. I think that was especially for Balraj. He just joined.
Thank you.
Thanks for that. Okay,
Okay.
let's.
Thank
Wait
you.
for the second. One more. Second
One more?
window. Second window.
Sorry.
Can we go back to the second window? Yeah.
Yeah, sure. I will do that. Just give me a minute, please.
Yeah, because we have so many members who are here now. Can we just take? Can I take
Okay,
another one?
okay. Please go on. Please go on.
All right. All right. Hang on. All right.
All good?
Hang on. Hey, last. Say cheese. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you so much,
All good.
Rachel. Thanks for that wonderful click, as always, Rachel. Okay. Are you able to see my screen? Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Before
Yes.
we begin for the next exciting session, and which is really good in terms of the significance of home, we'll come there. I will just take a few minutes just to revive a few of the memories, and especially the last few weeks. For the members who have joined recently, and again to revive the memories of old members, this is what the holy celebration pictures we had at Street 4 a couple of years ago. Unfortunately, this year, due to the COVID restrictions, we couldn't do, but still, the spirit of Holi didn't get dampened. Team here at Street 4 did enjoy the Holi while maintaining the social distance. It was a great time together. Also, in the last couple of weeks, just to recap, we had a very good session taken by Balraji, focusing on Jalneti as well as Sutraneti. Thank you, Balraji, for conducting that online session, as well as a very dedicated sessions, be it at Gardens, Street 4, as well as Street 9. I presume all the members have been practicing this, and I strongly encourage to keep practicing this, pretty useful for internal organs. And when we talk about this Sthul Sharir, which Mr. Sudhir just now explained. Just again, reviving memory quickly for the people who have been associated with BYS since long. And also, this is the BYS family, the picture which was taken a couple of years ago. Pretty good sessions we used to have. Unfortunately, again, due to the current restrictions, we are not able to meet in person, which we'd love to, and looking forward to that. But these are pretty much the whole idea of these sessions. What we are having today is to meet virtually in the best possible way and learn and share the knowledge from each other. The way we had a session today from Sudhirji the last week, chakras and so on. It's a pretty exciting sessions, and I would encourage to keep attending those sessions, keep it interactive and enjoy this. And our family bonding doesn't end there. We had a beautiful sessions at beaches. We hope to organize this as soon as the restrictions becomes cooled down. No wonder this has been recognized in the media as well here. And that's where this BYS family stands for. So those who have joined recently, or those who are not there, just again a few of the pictures just to revive the memories in the last 2 weeks. We have the morning batch at Street 9, daily yogas being done by the group of these enthusiasts. There is an evening batch also which has been started recently, again at Street 9. Feel free to join. Feel free to join the time after the yoga as well with the team. Very good session at Street 1, again maintaining all the protocols laid out by the local authorities and the government, maintaining the social distance and meeting all friends together for ourselves. This is the Street 4. We also have a batch here, those who are staying nearby in 4, 5, 6. Good session, good set of people you meet every day in the morning. And this is a session which is at Gardens, a very exciting, and I must make a note. This is the reflection of the passion and the dedication of the team you see on the picture, because this particular session starts at 5:15 in the morning, and I'm really glad to see that almost everyone there, the same team, almost 30-35 people are there sharp at 5:15. I think that's a reflection of the dedication each and every individuals are there on gardens. And the last but not the least, a session which is being conducted at JLT, a beautiful view, a nice place. Again, nowadays we are focusing more on online sessions by our senior members and pretty active group from JLT since last many years. I will just take now last 2 minutes, and before we hear from Miss Caroline, I'm sure all of you are excited to hear about that. Again, to make a nostalgic, this is a yoga day on 21st June 2019, a good group we had in Street 9. And what we do every year is set ourselves challenge while we march towards the International Yoga Day on 21st of June. And this year, as always, we have set up the challenge for ourselves, which is a lower plank pose, and to do it for the prolonged duration. There are multiple benefits, and I'm sure you would have been doing it as part of your session as well. And I encourage you, as we move towards next 1-2 months, start practicing it, keep on measuring your own time, and gradually keep increasing as we move on. And most importantly, don't overstretch yourself. Slightly just do beyond your comfort zone. Right? And few of the members have already started. Great, and we'll be there with you pretty soon. Okay, without further ado, I think let me get started with the session 2. Before I invite Ms. Caroline, just a quick introduction again. Ms. Caroline, she is a very senior member, long member of our family, almost last 3 years, a very experienced teacher, very active in the sessions that we do in JLT. And I'm absolutely glad that she is explaining here, and I'm sure you would be really enthralled to hear her and understand more about what really yoga means. So let me start with that.
Welcome back to another enriching session with BYS. The topic I have chosen is Om. Some of you might ask, why are we discussing Om? We all know what Om is. We practice it every day before and at the end of our asanas. When I studied yoga, I used to think Om may be some kind of a terminology used in yoga. But as I kept researching and digging deeper, I realized how wrong I was. I understood that this was much bigger and deeper than a word. Well, let me take you through a presentation and share with you what I have found. And I hope each one of you would take home some new understanding about Om. So let's begin. Have you ever wondered that if you need to utter something without the use of your tongue, if you are mute, you are unable to speak, or just simply keep your tongue still without moving it? What is the sound that you would hear? I would like you to try it. These are the only sounds you could make. This is called the fundamental or universal sound of nature. All other sounds can be made by tweaking or twisting the tongue in different ways. They are manifestation of these 3 sounds. These 3 sounds touches the entire 72,000 nadis, the energy force or prana. If Om is a word, the whole universe is its explanation. If it's a sound, the whole universe is its vibration. Sounds have an impact on our emotions. They reverberate in the system and hence has the ability to change our emotions. The sound Om, when chanted, vibrates at a frequency of 432 Hz, which is the same vibrational frequency found throughout everything in nature. As such, by chanting Om, we are symbolically and physically acknowledging our connections to nature and all other living beings. This is how simple and yet so powerful is the sound of Om. This is the only mantra traditionally chanted at the beginning and at the end of yoga asanas. So it is very much connected in yoga. In this chart, we see 4 states of Om, which I will explain a little in detail in the next slide. 3 of these states are those experienced during waking, that is Vaishwananara, outward focus, dreaming, that is Tejasa, or inward mind focus, and deep sleep, that is Prajna, dreamless sleep or deep meditation. And the 4th state is beyond, that is Turiya, is found in the silence after the Om, where there is no sound. In other words, the experience of waking merges into dreaming, dreaming merges into deep sleep, and ultimately deep sleep merges into silence. Thus, Turiya encompasses all other states. When you analyze the experiences of the different states of consciousness in totality, you attain the 4th state, silence. Let's try to understand a little bit of each state. That is the waking state, the physical level. The sound is the first state of Om. It pervades all other sounds. One who is aware of this first level of reality has fulfillment of all his desires and is successful. Second, U, that is the dreaming state, the subtle or astral level. The consciousness experienced during the dreaming state is U. This is an intermediate state between the waking and sleeping states. When the aspirant becomes capable of analyzing the nature of U or dreaming reality through pratyahara practice or meditation, he attains mastery over his unconscious mind. The aspirant then overcomes his negative mental attitude such as friction, jealousy, and hatred. U, the intermediate state, is more subtle and superior than It corresponds to the energetic or emotional world. Third, Ma, that is the dream sleep, the mental or causal level. For knowing Om in a comprehensive way, one has to move to the higher dimensions of consciousness, which means here sleeping state, represented by the letter N. After experiencing all the joys and pleasures of the external world, finally one delights to have deeper quality of joy during sleep. 4th state, silence. In the final state of Om, U, and Ma merge into soundless sound of Om, which is silence. It is incomprehensible, being beyond speech and mind. It is the state of self-realization in which all doubts and conflicts are resolved. It is blissful state that is the cessation of the influence of the grand illusion Maya. It is identical with Atma, the very self of all individuals. He who knows the state of absolute reality expands into the Supreme Self and is not born again. In the previous sessions, we had learned about the importance of chakras and its influence on our well-being. Now let us understand the connection with Om and our chakras. Each of the components also relates to a different chakra or energy center in the body. When you chant the 3 syllables of Om, you will experience vibration in your body at 3 spots. First, full awareness is brought to the root chakra, and you feel the sound of reverberating through the lower pelvis and groin up to the navel and abdominal area. Then the sound travels up the spine and you move in the heart chakra, where "oh" reverberates in the upper chest area. Now you're entering the dream states or inward focus of the mind. From here, you move up the back of the neck and through the top palate of the mouth, and you and the energy rises up to the third eye. This is the state of dreamless sleep or deep meditation. After you chant one Om, there's a pause. It represents Turiya, or the infinite or pure consciousness. Finally, as you sit in the silence afterward, you're in the crown chakra, and the illusions that separate you from the universe dissolve. Om is considered an original sound that rang out in the created universe. It is the root mantra. It is not connected with any language or community, though we see manifestation of this sound in many religions. Om, Amen, Amin, and so on. Now let's look at different ways of chanting Om. Pulsing repetition. Use a speed that is natural and comfortable. Imagine the sound of Om rising and falling at whatever speed is comfortable and natural. It may be very fast, several cycles per second, or it may be slower, several seconds for each cycle of Om mantra. Or it might become extremely slow with the sound continuing in the mind and much longer periods, but still pulsing at that slow rate. Another method is with the closed mouth. Chant the sound of Om mantra as a humming bee from the nose and closed lips. Allow the mantra to flow with the breath. Repeat as below. Third is with the flow of breath. Imagine the sound of Om mantra internally, in the mind only, making no external sound. Allow the mantra to flow with the breath and repeat as below. In this practice, you come to experience the mind, breath, and mantra flowing in unison. This synchronization has a beautiful effect on meditation. Simply allow the Om mantra to come and go with each inhalation and exhalation. Allow there to be no gap, no space, no pause between inhalation and exhalation, or between exhalation and inhalation. Alternatively, imagine the Om mantra only on exhalation, if that feels more comfortable. As you gently allow the Om mantra to flow with the breath, the mind becomes calm. When the mind becomes calm, the body relaxes, and the breath becomes even smoother and slower. The rate of speed at which the Om mantra is being repeated naturally slows down. It is not a matter of forcing the mantra to slow, but rather this slowing comes quite naturally. Allow the mind to stay wide awake and alert as the Om mantra and breath become naturally slower and slower. Meditation will deepen. There are different types of mantras. Each mantra activates a particular kind of energy in a different part of the body. Without that necessary awareness, just repeating the sound only brings dullness to the mind. But when it is done with proper awareness, with exact understanding of what it is, a mantra could be very powerful. Let's understand the benefits of chanting Om. It makes a positive space inside you. In increases your concentration level. Chanting Om will have better control over our feelings and emotions. Chanting Om places you in the meditational state, which gives you deep relaxation. It improves your voice quality by strength to the vocal cords and muscles around it. It is said that after chanting Om, rubbing both your hands together gets charged, and putting those charged hands on your face and other parts activate those body parts. Regular chanting helps in mood swings and improves work capacity and performance. Thus, it is said that with regular chanting, you can improve your personal as well as your professional life. The vibrations created during chanting improves the efficiency of the spinal cord. Proper practice of the Om mantra can remove your obstacles, and which will lead you to self-realization. I would request everyone to take a moment and read the scriptures. Well, I hope you enjoyed this presentation as much as I did. Have a good day. Namaskar.
Thank you so much, Carlin. That was so nicely explained. It was simply outstanding. I mean, the way you explain the background music as well was so soothing, and especially the content completely right. And I saw the relevance of what earlier Sudhirji explained, and also the way Om chanting, right? You spoke about the different states of Om, how A relates to the Sthul Sharir, the U relates to the subtle, and the M relates to the causal, right? And also the various facets on how it comes from the root of your body traveling upwards. Very, very well explained, Ms. Carlin. I think there are some questions. So, Vandana ma'am, if you can please go forward.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm Ankur speaking, and really, Caroline, I appreciate your presentation. It was fantastic. And, many of the aspects you covered, which is from the Patanjali and various Yoga Sutras and those things were really very informative. I think your entire session was very scientifically explained, as well as it is backed up by our ancient, Patanjali Sutra and Yoga Sutra. I think I have learned a lot in this about Om. Frankly speaking, I had got something more than my expectation.
Right. No, I completely agree with you, Ankur. Thank you so much, Carolyn, for that. I think you're on mute, Carolyn. If you can unmute yourself, please.
Sorry. Yeah, there was thank you. And there was one more point I wanted to add. This came up, after the presentation, if I may.
Yes,
Say
please.
something. Yeah,
Yes,
I just
please.
wanted to add one line was, it is published in the Journal of Respiratory Medicine in 2020. The nasal vibration produces nitric oxide. In Om, the vibration in the paranasal sinuses also releases nitric oxide. And this is proved by Dr. Balasubramaniam, an American biochemist. Now, this has been produced in collaboration with Israel and America in the form of a nasal spray to combat the COVID virus. And it's supposed to be 99.9% effective. So I would urge everyone, to please practice Om every day, and hopefully it will help us during this difficult time. That's all. Thank
Absolutely.
you.
Absolutely. No, thanks for that. Any other question? Just we are overshot of the time, but any other question if you would like to ask Ms. Caroline? I hope there are none because your video covered all the aspects. In fact, it didn't leave any kind of areas which was not explained, and it was very, very aptly explained. So once again, yes, sir.
Just
Please,
Sushil, just Sushil, one thing I want to share actually with everyone, what happens is that when we chant the Om, say for example, when we synchronize Om chanting with our, say for example, during the yoga session, 4 to 5 people, if we sit in a close vicinity, maybe definitely keeping the distance, you can feel a kind of a resonance, and that resonance feeling, probably I think we have been practicing here in the gardens as well as, I want all of you to also do a small experimentation. 3 to 4 people, when you sit together and really chant Om in a synchronized manner, it's really a different kind of feeling. You can feel that or you can relate to what Caroline has stated today, and it will be amazing and altogether the different experience. So this is what I wanted to share actually.
absolutely. Thanks, Ankur, for that sharing, and we'll definitely practice that as we move along. Any other question before we wrap up today's session? So if there are no questions, probably it would be apt to close today's session by chanting Om once. So if I may request to everyone to just exhale, inhale, and chant Om, and try to take how to chant the Om from what Ms. Caroline has just now explained. So all together, let's start chanting Om. Exhale, inhale, and then start. Great. Thank you so much. Thanks so much, all of you, for joining. And we look forward to another exciting session after 2 weeks, where we are really going to focus about the human body, understanding all the parts of your body, the different systems in a simple way. Look forward to see you again in another 2 weeks' time. Thank you so much and have a very good evening.
Sushil,
Yes.
this time when you forward the video, forward the presentation also, please.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, because